Hi, everybody. I'm Gwendolyn Sterk of Sterk Family Law, and our not-for-profit hero of the month of July 2021 is CASA of River Valley, and I'm honored and privileged to have with me Meg Pennington. How are you today, Meg?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on this morning.
No problem. So can you tell everybody a little bit of an introduction to the organization?
Yes, absolutely. So to begin with, I'm an advocate supervisor with CASA of River Valley. I've been on staff for about 3.5 years, and I actually started off as a volunteer advocate myself before joining the staff. CASA of River Valley has been around since about 1994. And up until 2020, January 2020, we were solely working in Will County with children in the juvenile court system. And as of January 2020, right before the pandemic started, we actually expanded our services into Grundy County as well and changed our name to CASA of River Valley.
All right, interesting. So how long has CASA been around?
We began our services in this area in 1994, and since then we've serviced the needs of over 3,000 children in our community.
Wow.
Yes.
And how do those services work? How do you connect, and what services?
So what happens is when a child enters the court system through neglect or abuse, whatever they may be a victim of, they're appointed a guardian ad litem. And we have a team of volunteer advocates. Currently, we have approximately 106 volunteer advocates that are appointed to each child or their family. And this advocate speaks out for the best interest of the child. They're truly their advocate. We don't work for the state. We don't work for the parents. We don't work for whatever agency is assigned for their services. We look out for their best interests and speak in their voice. So that may look as to we visit with children monthly on our cases. We advocate for them in court. We serve as their voice in court. We submit court reports to the judge based upon the services that the children are receiving and or their parents or families. And we really fight to make sure each child is receiving the service and care that they need as a ward of the state.
Really? So who your support is the child, period.
The child. That's we are one of our taglines is we are the voice of the child.
Sure. Now, how do people get involved, and how do you become an advocate?
So to become an advocate, if it's something that you're interested in, you can absolutely go to our website, casaofrivervalley.org. And there is an application that you fill out. And to become an advocate, we actually have a 33-hour training program, which sounds pretty intense and rigorous, but it's actually very educational and very informational. As I am sure you can imagine, our numbers have increased greatly since the pandemic began. Our case numbers are up 59%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Previous time period. That is an enormous amount. And unfortunately, over the course of the past, 21 months, we have had to, or I'm sorry, I'm off on my timeline, probably about 18 months. We have had to turn away cases, a significant number of cases. And these are children that are not getting the care of an advocate while they are in the system. So we are desperately in need of advocates. Even though we have approximately 100 volunteers, we are always looking for more to really serve and benefit these children.
Okay, so you have to go through the training, and then does somebody then kind of do a hands-on, you do this 30-some hour training, right?
So it's a 33-hour training. We offer our training sessions. Prior to COVID, we offered our training sessions quarterly, but over the past year, we've actually added 3 additional training sessions for a total of 7 training sessions to try and get as many advocates as we can to serve these children. So once you complete your 33-hour training, you're assigned an advocate supervisor and or a peer mentor to work with you as well. We don't throw our advocates just out into the wind.
Right.
We're really careful about making sure that they're well acquainted with the case, the details of the case. They're advocate. So I'm an advocate supervisor. So I have a team of volunteer advocates that I supervise their cases. So each advocate is responsible for their visits and communicating with service providers or, the caseworkers. But they have a supervisor, and sometimes they have a peer mentor to work with them to get their case launched and to visit them on their first visit and just to get them started in the process.
But it sounds like a really fruitful way because I'm assuming you're in the child's life for a very long period of time.
So most cases, we ask our advocates to commit for a period of 2 years because of the fact that the cases do take so long to go through the court system. But what an interesting statistic is, children that have a CASA advocate assigned to them typically spend 8 less months in the foster care system than if they did not have a GAL assigned to them. And they are statistically much less likely to have to re-enter the foster care system later on down the road if they have a CASA advocate.
So, one way certainly somebody can help then is to volunteer at CASA, but what if you don't have the capacity to be able to volunteer? I'm sure there's other ways that you can contribute to the organization. Can you identify what that might look like?
Yes, absolutely. We do have a lot of volunteer opportunities for those that might not be able to make the time commitment to serve as a volunteer advocate. We do have a lot of fundraising events, and obviously the effects of the pandemic have affected that over the past year. So now as we're hoping to get back more in person, we're raring to go. September 19th, we have our annual 5K run coming up in New Lenox. And also our CASA Christmas Express train ride is rescheduled again for this year on Saturday, December 4th and Sunday, December 5th. This is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year, and it's a great experience. People can buy tickets to take their children on our Christmas Express train ride from Joliet to Tinley Park, and then participate in holiday activities after the train ride at that area. We also just had our annual golf outing. That was this past July 9th. And we also have a gala in the late winter, early spring that's held annually as well. But to answer your question, we're always looking for volunteers to help at those events and participate.
Right. So very good. Sounds like a lot of events that maybe you get to know more about the organization as well during some of the programming.
Right. Absolutely.
So very cool. In terms of these upcoming programs, or if somebody wanted to say, hey, I want to be a volunteer, I want to really work with it, how do they reach out to you to make that contact?
So our best way would be on our website, www.casaofrivervalley.org. We have a section about volunteering, whether it is a volunteer advocate to fill out that application. Once that application is completed, you will be contacted, have a background check, and then proceed with our next training session. Our next upcoming trainings are in August and October. If it's something that you're just interested in volunteering on a short-term basis, you can also reach us through that way as well. Or you can always call our office.
That's fantastic. I think really it's interesting. There are just so many children in need, and really this is a national organization with local chapters. Can you explain how that operates as well?
Yeah, so we are umbrellaed under Illinois CASA, which is umbrellaed under the national CASA. But you are correct. There are chapters all over. To be honest with you, we usually each chapter typically does work independently. We don't have much interaction with, children in other jurisdictions. We solely our chapter focuses on the children in Will and Grundy counties. But it's kind of nice because it also gives each organization the opportunity to not be stuck under guidelines or regulations. Like for example, all of Illinois CASA and all of National CASA, our goal is to help these children that have faced immense trauma. But in our specific organization, we've really tried to make a multifaceted approach in ways to help these kids. So we have an educational advocacy program, and we're currently working on a literacy program. Children, especially as a result of the pandemic, have really suffered academically over the past year. And we're doing everything we can along with our advocates to provide the advocacy that they need to meet their educational and academic goals. We also meet their immediate needs. When they come into care, they automatically receive a backpack filled with supplies and blankets and pajamas and books. Our advocates have a whole range of activities that they can bring to their visits with their children. We have a children's garden here at the courthouse so that when children have to go into court, they have a place to go, a safe space to go. That's a member of our staff can take them to, where they're not stuck in a courtroom with a bunch of scary adults. They have a safe garden that's designed to bring peace and relaxation to them. We also work with a therapy horse program, a miniature therapeutic horse program that works with some of the children. We also work with the Give Something Back Foundation, and we are one of the first programs in the state to work with this foundation, which helps to provide eligible CASA children with full college scholarships.
Wow, that's fantastic. You know, as being both a volunteer advocate and now being an employee of the organization, what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of your career?
That is a good question. Give me a minute to think about that. I would have to say just seeing the way these children's lives are changed as a result, especially of the wonderful advocates that help our organization. I mean, our advocates are doing this on a volunteer basis. And I can tell you, Gwen, the difference that they make. A good example of this is so many of the kids in care right now, there are 10-month-long waiting lists for children to get therapy. And so many of these kids fall through the cracks in the system. And as an advocate supervisor, seeing these children get the help that they need, and seeing our advocates work to get them, into therapy or get them their IEP services that they need, or help, their families, whether it's a biological parent or a foster parent, with the required services they need. I'm sure you can imagine that not only the rates of children coming into care, but why are these children coming into care? Mental illness rates are increasing, drug abuse rates are increasing, domestic violence rates are increasing, poverty levels and loss of income, loss of housing. I mean, it's scary to see how many children have come into care over the past year. But as an advocate supervisor, when you have a case close and you see a child find their forever home, whether it's with their biological parents who have gotten the help that they need, or with help of foster parents that are willing to take these children into their home and provide them that forever home, it's a great feeling. It's a really great feeling. It's very rewarding.
It's really an opportunity. So we really appreciate what you do. We do family law work, so we come from it from a different angle, but yet these children are in need and children do need help. And when you can come alongside of them and take them by the arm and help them through, that really becomes a passion and it becomes something that's very rewarding, I'm sure.
Well, it is. And one more thing, if you don't mind me saying, most of these kids have people rotating in and out of their lives. There's a very high turnover in terms of caseworkers or, service providers. And they have all of a sudden, through no fault of their own, their lives are turned upside down, and they have new caseworkers, new service providers, and our CASA advocates serve as that person for them, a person that they can rely on, a person that they can count on, a person that they can trust on to be there and support them through what they're going through.
That's fantastic. Well, we really appreciate the opportunity and the time that you gave us today. And if you're listening out there today and you're looking for something new to do, get out, change your life. The pandemic changed a lot of us, give back, and this gives a real opportunity. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to hear about our organization.